What is up, everybody? Today is a very special video that I feel like I've been waiting to do for a very long time. It is not of my van, which I'm standing in right now. It is actually with a company called Light Harvest Solar. I've been waiting to do a video with them for so long because we're gonna go over everything possible in electric. This is not just a tour of an electrical shop. This is more of an informational video of like just batteries, solar panels, inverters, charge controllers, DC to DC chargers. We are going to get into some nitty-gritty things about solar and solar equipment, where to get it, how to put it together. We're gonna go over all of that in this video, so that is why I'm excited, because there is so many things out there that a lot of people don't realize, they're just uneducated about, and that is what I'm here to do. I'm here to educate people properly with professionals. So here we go. So behind me right now, and now I just flip the camera around, is Light Harvest Solar. What is the super cool thing? They don't like to be braggadocious about this, so I'm gonna brag for them. What is super cool about this thing right here is it's a container, but it is an off-grid container, are completely powered off of the batteries that they sell, as well as the solar panels that are charging those batteries. I get so many questions about what kind of system, how big of a system, etc. and so forth. We're gonna go over all of that with this guy right here, my buddy John from Light Harvest Solar. John is extremely knowledgeable, so let's flip the camera out, get him on. What's up, buddy? I wanted to get everything in shot here.
Yeah, there's a lot in here.
There is, but you have other storage containers too.
Yep, this is one of four,
oh,
all
wow.
off-grid powered. So all the solar, we have a bunch of panels up on the roof. They all route into a couple of batteries, and then that powers my lights.
What is it you do here first?
So what I do is mainly system design.
Okay.
So we also do some installation, but for the most part, my function is to find out what a customer needs and get it to them. So you come in, you tell me, hey, I want to be able to cook in my van, or I want to be able to go out for the weekend and charge all my devices. My job is to figure out exactly what you need to do that without spending way too much money on stuff you don't need. Give you the information to get it, give you all the part selection, and send you out with it.
Awesome. So not only can they come into the shop here in Portland, but they can also call you over the phone. So
absolutely.
You don't have to give us the phone number, but how is the best way to get a hold of you guys? Just
best way is phone or email. We usually respond pretty quick.
Is it all through the website?
Yes, you can go through our website, lightharvestsolar.com.
Cool.
We'll have another one coming up in the near future. We'll hopefully get you the information on that one.
Okay. Well, that one will be also in the description below once I get it from Miles. We're gonna start pretty much from like the panels down into the box itself, or what is involved in the power system.
Makes sense. Follow the power flow.
Okay, I didn't even think of it that way. There you go. You guys have an assortment of panels that are not sold at like, and I don't want to badmouth anybody, but like a Renergy company.
Yes, it is really hard to get individual amounts of these panels. These are the ones that they use for large scale solar installs, so big commercial array, your household system, the larger stuff.
Why is that panel better than like a 100-watt panel at like a Renergy?
They make a lot more of them. So the production, it's kind of the economy of scale scenario. So they make so many of them, the engineering is really refined on them, and the production process is very good. So you end up getting a much lower price per watt for the solar that you're getting. So if you go with one of these, like a 300-watt panel versus 300-watt panels, you might be paying half as much for the 300.
Obviously with your wall of panels right here, I see different cell arraignment. Yeah,
you can actually, this is kind of like a little time machine right here.
Okay.
On the far right down at the end there, we have the kind of top of the line from about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
So that's one long series string. It's all the cells are wired together. Ends up happening is if you cover one of the cells, pretty much the whole panel cuts out.
Interesting.
So you get a tree branch over your parked van, you're getting no power.
Okay, a lot of people, they always, like I hear people talking about all the time, but now that makes sense.
Yep.
And that was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
So since then, technology's improved.
Cool.
The middle two panels are a split cell design. So they're still kind of a long series string, but they split it up a little bit more parallel.
Okay.
So you end up covering part, you only maybe cut out half. So they do a little bit better than the old.
Oh, so this right here is the split?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good way to look at it.
I knew this one is like the Mac Daddy of them all.
Yes, this is the top of the line. I think these are 2018's like top of the line panel.
Really?
And what they do is you can kind of see there's little sections here.
Yeah.
Each one of these sections is its own series string.
Okay.
So they parallelize all of them together, which means you cover that part, it cuts out that section and leaves all the rest operating.
Which is obviously very functional if you are half in the shade or if you have a tree branch like you said.
Yep. One tree branch, instead of killing your whole panel, just kills maybe 10%.
I have a walkable deck on my van.
Okay.
It's the 500 water. Do you have walkable panels here as well?
Yes.
Like the old school commercial, not old school, but like, yeah, the walkable panels. Do you have the walkable ones?
Yeah, for the most part, you can walk on these. I don't usually recommend it. We have video of Miles jumping on one of them.
Okay.
So it's definitely doable. They're the tempered glass. It's
Yep.
ale rated.
Okay.
It should be able to stand up to it.
Like this one, or are you talking about another one that you sell?
All of these.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these are all the industrial grade. They're rated for 25 plus years. You're not going to break them just willy-nilly. You'd have to try. For
They're ale rated?
Yep.
You guys sell them, like you said, the 290 to 3 and change range. Why is it important to have about 300 watts on a van per se?
300 watts is kind of enough to really recharge your batteries from the daily amount of electricity you'd use from just standard daily living.
Sure.
So once you get into the like 360 watt range,
Okay.
you can really kind of keep up with your needs. So, you know, you're boiling water, you're cooking with a hot plate, you can kind of get away entirely from propane at that point.
Let's move down the system. Before we go through charge control and inverter, let's go with batteries.
Batteries are critical.
They are.
Definitely.
So I'm also another advocate of lithium over AGM or gel.
Absolutely.
Do you guys sell AGM or gel?
We do not.
And
no.
why is that?
That is because on this type of systems that we build, where you're moving a lot of power around,
Okay.
lead acid just can't do it. You would need 600 pounds of big lead acid batteries just to keep up with what one of these Lion Energy batteries that we're selling nowadays can do.
Yeah. You're a dealer for Lion and Rely On.
Yep, Lion, Rely On. We're a dealer for Battleborn. We're a dealer for pretty much all the big names.
If you have lithium connections, you have it. Like
Yeah.
you have,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
If
Great.
it's any good, we've probably tried it out.
Well, that actually brings up another good point. I know I've seen Miles like run tests on all these batteries, run tests on all the inverters that you have.
Yep.
So before you put it on your shelves, Miles goes through a rigorous testing with all this product.
And
So
in fact, this shop is being run off one of the Lion Energy's 90 amp hour batteries. One of them.
just one.
Just one of them.
So back to the batteries. You have the Lions and the Relions that you guys focus the most on.
Yep, they're the ones that we've had the most consistent behavior, fewest problems, you know, anything. A lot of lithium batteries have problems with, after they go through a low voltage disconnect, coming back online.
Okay, do the Lions and the Relions have that problem?
They do not have that problem.
Okay.
The Relions, to my memory, just come back on pretty straightforward and easy. The Lions, you have to do a little push button reset.
Okay. It's pretty
super
easy.
Straightforward,
Yep.
no problems there.
I have Relions in my van,
Nice.
and I thoroughly in love with them.
Oh yeah, they're good.
And ever since the Lions have come out, I'm like, oh my goodness, these are great freaking batteries. They are slightly smaller than the Relions,
Yep.
footprint-wise.
Relions, at least the 100 amp hour Relions,
Yeah.
are a Group 31 footprint, so fits with your standard commercial truck battery. About yay long,
Yep.
yay big.
I actually think the dimensions are 14x7 if you want to get technical.
I think you're right. That sounds right to me. The Lion Energy is the golf cart battery group size.
Okay, but it's not a 6 volt, it's a 12 volt.
It is a 12 volt.
Okay.
12 volt, 150 amp discharge capability right out of the box.
Cool.
So right there, that'll give you 1,500 plus watts, no problem, up
Interesting.
to about 1,800.
Okay.
So you can run an induction cook stove with a single battery. You can run a heater or AC with a single battery, not for very long.
Right.
But you can do it.
I'm glad you brought that up because like I feel like I get so many questions about, hey, how many solar panels do I need to run my air conditioner? It's not about the solar panels, it's about what?
It's about the battery.
Yes.
Yep. You got to have the capacity. You got to have the ability to output the power. And circling back, that is why we go lithium over lead acid almost entirely. Is when you start getting to those high currents and lead acid can't keep up. your actual capacity drops to a fraction of what the battery is rated for. Lithium, that's not the case. 100 amp hours at 100 amps is the same as at 1 amp. Well, to simplify it a little bit, let's say you have a discharge that you can dial from 0 to 10. At 0, you're rated for, it'll run it for, well, it's 0, it's infinite. At 1, it'll run it for 100 hours.
Okay.
If you crank it up to 10, it'll run it for 10 hours.
Okay.
That's lithium. Now with lead acid, at 1 it'll do that 100. At 10, it'll maybe only do 2 to 5. They really they can't put out enough power.
Interesting.
So it just struggles. You get voltage drops. You get weird behavior. It's not something that we enjoy working. All of our lithium batteries are rated for 10 plus years of daily use.
Okay.
So you're looking at, you'd have to replace your lead acid system like 3 or 4 times.
Now, you guys are good friends with Tiny Watt Solar, as so am I. I remember when he was putting in my system, he was saying that my batteries should last 13 years.
I believe it.
Yeah.
That sounds about right to me.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Heavily cycling them, 100% depth of discharge every day. Might be a little less.
Yeah, which I'm not, obviously.
But yeah, for most people's use, you're not going to go below 50% even.
Not just 13 years. My solar panel's rated for 25 years, so I have a good amount of time on just my system alone.
Oh yeah.
And that's what's the difference between going a commercial grade system over a lower end company, and I don't want to say who that would be,
there's a lot of names.
There's a lot of names out there. And that's why people spend the money on, panels like this, batteries that are behind me, etc. and so forth. Panels are important. Batteries are important.
Yes.
If you want to talk about really what like a heart of a system is, I'm a believer in the charge controller is one of the most important things.
Super critical.
And why is that?
Well, that's what's doing all the power transformation.
Yes.
These solar panels are operating at about 40 to 60 volts.
Mm-hmm.
Your battery's 12 volts, or maybe 24 volts if you're a 24 volt system. If you give it that 40 volt power, you're going to fry your batteries. So what this charge controller is doing is it's not only converting from that 40 volts down to that 12, it's also paying attention to how the actual silicon solar cells are performing.
Okay.
There's a relationship between the voltage and amperage where you can kind of hit the max amount of power if you balance them just right. So what these charge controllers are doing is constantly tracking where that point is based on the sun conditions, adjusting what they're doing to that.
So it's important to have a really good charge controller with one of your high-end panels.
Yes.
And the company that you would recommend the most, that you would go, like that you guys have, who do you guys carry for charge controllers?
We use SRNE. They're a Chinese brand. A lot of other brands are just rebranded versions of them. So we just kind of went straight to the source. They work really well. They're really, really good. They're kind of hard to find unbranded. Once you see them, you learn to recognize them in other brands.
If somebody contacts you through your website and was like, hey, I want Victron such and such.
We have them.
You have them. Okay.
We're a dealer for all the main companies. Again, Victron we actually stock. We're very, very much a fan of their charge controllers. They're kind of our premium option.
Right.
Come in at a little higher price point, but with integrated Bluetooth and a bunch of other handy features.
That is pretty nice.
They have some nice features to them. So yeah, they are regulating the power. They have their various modes. So, if you set it to lead acid and you have just a huge amount of solar coming in, it's not going to overcharge the battery.
So after the charge controller, we have inverters and inverter chargers.
Yep, but importantly, between those, you want fuses on the line.
All right, so I was going to go into wires and fuses after, if that's okay.
Can circle back.
Because we're going to go into not just wires, but sizes.
Yes, sizing is critical.
I think that's extremely important and people just don't understand.
Yeah, no, it's hard to understand.
And then after all of this, by the way, guys, we are going to go outside with John and he's going to show us what he's been working on for the last couple days. Inverter and inverter charger.
Yes.
There's two different types. Why is one better than the other? All of a sudden, the price makes a massive jump.
It does, yeah. There are two main technologies. There's modified sine wave and pure sine wave. Pure sine wave is the kind of like nice curve like you're used to seeing.
Sure.
It's very, very nice. Complex electronics need that nice curve in order to know exactly what the ground voltage is. There's a couple other reasons too, but that's one of them. A super nice smooth curve is hard to do with DC power transformation.
Okay.
Modified sine wave, instead of generating that really nice smooth curve, kind of takes some shortcuts and it provides like more of a stepped curve.
Okay. What do you prefer?
Pure sine by far.
Pure sine by far. Okay.
Modified, in practice, what you end up getting is if you run any, if you run any computers or anything with a transformer in it or any audio equipment's a really good example. My use case example is I was out at a festival. I had a battery-powered sound system that I wanted to, and I had cheaped out and I bought a modified sine wave inverter for probably like 150 bucks.
Yeah.
It worked great for charging devices, for running some lights. When I plugged in that sound system, so much static, I couldn't hear anything.
I didn't ask what an inverter does.
So the inverter, it takes your 12 volt DC or 24 or whatever voltage, but your DC power from your batteries, and converts that into AC like in your wall.
Okay.
So it's 120 volt total range. That's why it's 120 volt AC.
Okay.
Or 110 is also pretty common.
Yeah.
It varies between.
When it's obviously they're both AC. All right. Okay. That's pretty much Edison versus Tesla back in the day.
Yeah. Really important difference there is DC is just power moving in a circuit, whereas AC is more of a vibration.
Why did Edison win this battle? When I say, by the way, when I you guys.
So I'm a Tesla fan.
Obviously, anybody that works with batteries is. Now, when we say Tesla, we're not talking about the company.
Oh, no.
We're talking about Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
And that's what the company was named after. Everybody. Nikola Tesla developed DC power.
Yeah. He
Back
also
when
he
was
worked
that?
with AC. They both worked with both kinds of power.
Okay.
But Edison had more skin in the AC game.
He won. He won the battle.
He did win. He had a lot of money behind it. A lot of really strong PR. Interesting fact, a lot of the reason you use AC nowadays is it's really efficient or longer range transmission.
Oh, okay.
With DC, you need really thick wire to transmit a lot of power a long distance.
Okay.
However, there are a few extra, like super high voltage DC power transmission lines, and we're talking like grid level, country to country power transmission.
Interesting.
So I find that stuff super neat. I'm the kind of guy that
you're such a nerd.
People drive past a field of cows and moo.
Yeah.
I drive past a power substation and buzz at it.
Yeah, there you go.
That kind of guy.
So back to the inverters, DC power to AC power. The pure sine, modified sine, we've gone over that.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, enough that I think people.
You can look more into it. There's a lot of guides online that'll make it really clear what the difference is.
He would talk in a technical term for everybody, but I can guarantee you that it would make everybody's head explode because it's making my head explode. So he is talking. I think you're trying to talk more in a layman's terms.
I'm trying to talk to the layman.
Yeah. Because we're all, including myself, not educated as well as like you or Miles or Tiny Watt Solar, other big companies are. We have a inverter and inverter charger.
Yes.
Why is one $300 more, $500 more?
So the base inverter, that just takes your DC and converts it to AC.
Got it.
The inverter chargers are bidirectional. So you can, say you have a inverter charger in your van. You go pull up to the campsite, it's got a local plug-in, you plug in, charge your batteries that way. That's
what the inverter charger is used for, is you can literally charge, you can plug into grid.
Yes.
Okay.
You can plug into the grid, you can plug into a generator, you can plug into really any source of that 110, 120 volt AC.
Generators are if you want to go off grid for a while. Generators are important if you want to use that. My dad's a big RVer, so he uses a lot of generating power.
And if you get enough solar on there, you should never have to touch the generator.
Technically, you're right.
But I like to have contingency plans.
Exactly. There's always those backup plans, and also like I think the old school RVers, they just know about that. Yeah. That's what they do.
Yeah, they're used to the tech. They're used to the rhythm of refueling it. They're okay with that.
It is what it is. We did you guys a crash course. So we did solar panels, we got batteries, inverter, you got the charge controller. I feel one of the most important things, I mean everything is freaking important at this point, but your DC to DC charger.
Yes, so that we use the Sterlings for.
Right.
We have 30 and 60 amp models.
Yep.
What those do is they're fully programmable, they're really smart. They detect when your engine is on and the alternator is charging your main battery. Then they will funnel current over to your house power batteries.
Right.
Your lithium bank.
Right.
Important thing that they do there, more older tech doesn't do, is they convert voltage as well. So
the Sterlings do?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you hook up a lead acid battery to a lithium battery, that's a big no-no. Because the lithium battery operates about a volt higher. What will end up happening is the lead acid battery just draws all the power to it, turns it into heat, and you just wasted all your power. So with the DC to DC converter, it separates those batteries and knows which is which and what's dead, what's charged, and keeps everything in line.
Carry Sterling, which I actually have in my van, which
Nice.
I think are fantastic.
They're handy, yeah.
You're about to start carrying the new Victrons.
Yes.
Which
Victron has an excellent model. I haven't personally tested them yet, but we've been hearing good things.
I feel that you're going to have them on your shelves soon enough. It is such a new product. We'll see. The only reason I bring that up is because the Sterlings are a little bit of a pain to program.
They can be a pain. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. But, you know, for our customers, you're going to be doing it the first time. You're not going to be doing it 10 times.
Yeah, once you program it one time, you're good.
Yeah,
You're set. When Wes did mine, he was like, "Don't talk to me," and I was like, "Okay."
You gotta focus, yeah.
You have to focus.
There's
right.
stuff like you press it, you know, hold the button for 28 seconds,
Yep.
then switch over, hold this button for 13 seconds.
It's a pain.
Yeah.
It's a pain to say the least. You guys have connections with a bunch of different companies. You have access to commercial grade panels. You have access to other commercial grade products. Your other inverters that you have are not just Victrons. You have Cotexes, which I also like a lot.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about Cotec, but we stock a ton of their products, all of their inverters. We virtually have no issues with them.
Okay.
And inverters are one of the most problematic components.
They are. I have an Outback, which is also
Outbacks are good.
good. They're a little bit more of a draw than, let's say, an Cotexes or...
Yes. Cotex have really low idle consumption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Idle consumption, because that is important.
It is.
And people don't realize when you do turn your inverter on, you are draining your batteries without running any other product.
Yeah, some of them on the market I've seen, you could be drawing 4 amps just by having that inverter on.
Just the inverter.
Yeah. Our goal is really to get you the best.
Okay.
So the main problem that people tend to have is part selection. Figuring out, you know, you go on Amazon, there's 50 million types of the same item. How do you know what's the right thing to get? So our real function and purpose here is to know all of that stuff and have already done the legwork there. So you come in, you say, I want to do this. And I tell you, well, you need this, 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 and this. Here you go.
Can someone like myself that is not really well educated in the electrical field or renewable energy, can I put my own system together?
Absolutely.
Do you guys offer consultations to help put it together?
Absolutely. With
Cool.
every sale, of course, we want to make sure you can do what we're asking you to do.
Okay.
So I will make sure you have an understanding of exactly what you need to do, and more than that, you understand what's going on under the surface.
It's not just getting these products, which you can help with. It's getting the right wire sizes, which you talked about. It's getting the right connections to each of the products. And like you said earlier, it's having those inline fuses or breakers that are proper.
Yes.
You can get those kind of components. So people don't understand, it's not just buying a $550 panel, however much an inverter is, you know, $1,000 battery. It's not about putting those. You're also buying a bunch of wire.
Yeah, true. It's a lot of copper, and it does add up really quick.
And like, why is it so critical to have a certain size wire for like your battery to your charge controller? Why is it important to have a certain size wire, and you can't go too big or too small? Maybe go over that a little bit.
Well, you can go too big. That's okay. If you go too big, you're really just wasting money.
Okay, it's good to know.
It's not a safety hazard, but if I can save you $50 by tightening up the wire sizes,
Right.
that seems like a good plan. The opposite, what happens if your wire is too small, is either you won't get enough power to where you need it to go, the wire itself will melt and you'll have a fire.
And that's what a lot of people go through. Like, honestly, I've seen it.
I've seen it too, it happened. And if you're living in your van with your power system and something's not sized right, you have a fire, that's not just your vehicle, that might be your livelihood, your home, your everything. So we are not going to allow that to happen.
Do you hook people up with the wires and the connectors and why you're doing it?
You know, you might have a wire that's rated for 45 amps.
Okay.
And if you give it 90 amps, you know, maybe it won't melt immediately, but it will melt, and it will probably start a fire.
Okay.
So what the breakers do is, you know, you set your breaker to maybe 55, 60 amps, and when it starts going above what the wire is rated for, the breaker pops and cuts the circuit.
Right.
So that protects your wire, it protects your devices, and it protects
you.
Yeah. Your everything.
Yeah, like...
Will the system work without breakers and fuses? Absolutely. Will it be safe? No.
Yeah, so that's why
Get
it's a safety precaution.
Yeah, it's a safety precaution.
Awesome. Even choosing the right breaker is important.
Yes. If you have a line that's going to carry 50 amps and you put a 150 amp breaker in there, is that breaker going to trip when you need it to? Probably not.
And you know, it always fascinates me. People always complain about, oh, you know, that power box costs so much money. And it's not, like I said, it's not just the panels. It's not just the inverter. It's these breakers, because these breakers are not cheap.
Oh yeah, a lot of the ones we use are about $50 a piece.
A piece, and you're putting 12 to 18 breakers in sometimes.
Yeah, one for each battery usually,
yep.
And then maybe one or two for a couple of the other systems. We tend to use fuses for the stuff that's a little less likely to blow.
Let's say I add a 5th battery. Do I have to add another breaker?
Absolutely.
Wow, I did not know this. Okay.
I would.
Yeah, okay.
So we like to have every line individually breakered or fused. So you add another battery in. It kind of depends how you're doing it, but the way we do everything is we use combiner blocks and run lines individually to each battery.
Okay.
So that way we can fuse or breaker each line and guarantee that all the batteries are being drawn from equally.
Okay.
Side note, but once you start having a large parallel bank where they're all just connected together, you connect to the outside corners usually, but it'll still predominantly use the end batteries over the center batteries. So over, you know, with lithium, you have your 10-year lifespan. Over 10 years of doing that, the outside batteries are going to get trashed way faster than the inside one.
Also mentioned running your battery bank parallel.
Yes.
So you do run it parallel?
Typically.
Okay, and then you run your panels series or parallel?
Depends on the setup. Commonly, we'll go up to 2 series a lot of the time.
Well, typically you guys sell one panel, so you typically will only have one panel on. But we're actually about to show.
Vehicle.
Okay.
A little while ago, I did a box truck for a gentleman, and that had 8 panels on the roof.
There you go.
A 5 kilowatt hour battery in there. That was a big, beefy system. If your panel's at 60 volts and your charge controller can only do 100 volts, then you have to put them in parallel. You can't do 120 volts a panel.
Well, maybe explain just quickly series and parallel or what?
Great thing to explain.
Yeah.
That took me a while to really get in my brain.
Okay.
Series is when you kind of snake them together.
Okay.
So you connect your positive of one panel to your negative of the next panel, and you just make like a whole line for the circuit through all of them. Quick shortcut kind of thought there is series increases your voltage, parallel increases your capacity.
Okay.
So if I have 2 12-volt 100 amp hour batteries, if I put them in series, I have 100 amp hours at 24 volts. If I put them in parallel, I have 200 amp hours at 12 volts. That make sense, everybody?
This is why you hire professionals to build your electrical boxes. Because if you screw up wiring, you can cause issues.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge advocate of hiring people like yourself, Off-Grid Solutions, PDX, Nomadic Customs. I can keep going down the list of these people that I trust building power boxes over a DIYer trying to do it themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's take a quick look here.
You guys have 4 containers. We're not going to go into each one of them.
Yeah.
But this is your kind of simple setup. Yeah,
our showroom.
Thank you.
So I've got a couple of our battery options here and a couple of our combiner boxes as well. One thing I want to point out, these blocks here are sort of the core of a lot of our designs. They take the place of bus bars. Most people are familiar with the function of those.
Yeah.
So instead of having, you know, a long exposed metal bar with a bunch of holes in it and a bunch of wires sticking out of it that looks all ugly, you can use one of these.
Interesting.
Same function, but they're rated for much higher amperage than most are. You can do about 300 amps with those 8-in-1 blocks. Yeah, so 8 inputs, 1-in-1, different outputs. I say in and out, but it's really just, it's all one thing.
Interesting.
But what those allow us to do is really bring all the individual systems together and really cut down on stacking terminals, use an extra wire. It makes it so much nicer.
Interesting.
So we love those. These are more for your RV style breakouts.
Is this open?
You might, go ahead and pop that open.
That's pretty cool.
So you have individually fused DC lines and also some breakered AC lines.
Interesting.
This as well has a built-in lithium charger, so you can just plug it into outside power and it'll charge your batteries automatically.
I think this is the one I have. It's just
this
a very
is just
simple
the distribution.
Yeah.
So it's this minus the charger aspect.
Right.
Those are really popular. I sell a lot of those.
Yeah, they're simple, they're easy. Yeah, this is like your breakers for your AC, and then this is your DC fuses.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then
cool.
a couple of our batteries as well. There's the Reliant we were talking about.
It's my favorite battery.
They are super sweet.
Oh, I forgot all about these. These are all, I mean, we were gonna go outside, but like these are all your charge controllers that you have.
Yeah. EP Ever right there, that was our prior popular one until we found the SRNE, which is this one right here.
Huh. That looks familiar to a company that I know.
It does look a little familiar, doesn't it?
So they just kind of branded it themselves. Yep. I get it.
That's super common. A lot of those out there, a lot of different brands. You know, I go on Amazon, I look at charge controllers. I'm gonna see probably 10 different versions of those.
Yeah, right.
And then we also have the remote meters hooked into that.
And by the way, this is super important for anybody that wants to get a charge controller, the MPPT.
Yes,
MPPT
absolutely.
is so much better than the PWM?
Yes, PWM, pulse width modulated is that one, and then MPPT is maximum power point tracking.
And that's just super important to have the MPPT.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, where it kind of constantly keeps track of the optimal standpoint. PWM, A, doesn't do that. B, only goes up to about 20 volts most of the time, so with our panels you can't even use it. And just in a direct comparison, MPPT is about 30% more efficient in most of the cases.
Nice.
So you really are getting more power out of it. This is my current project.
Are these together?
Here. These are together.
Okay.
So this is the power system that's going to be charged by these two panels.
Which panels are these?
These are the 290 watt.
290s?
So they are the kind of older tech, but they are really, really good bang for your buck.
Okay.
Price per watt is the lowest on these out of anything we sell.
I didn't show what the price is. What do these go for?
These are $245 for the panel.
240. That's actually not bad at all.
I think the price went up a little bit.
Okay.
But 200s for the panel. Around the upper 400s for the kit.
Nice.
The kit includes the charge controller, wiring, fuses, breakers,
so you sell the kits, yeah.
Everything you would need to get the power from the sun into your batteries.
Awesome. And now you've been putting this together. It's not complete yet.
Yeah, no, this is not complete. I'm actually kind of early on in it. Most of what I'm doing here is the part placement and wire flow.
Are any of these mounted yet? Nothing, huh?
Nothing's mounted yet. Still kind of in flux, but this is for the most part the final design.
Wow, you put 4 lions in this thing?
Oh yeah.
Wow, and he's putting it all in a truck.
Yes, so it's going to be mounted in the truck bed, but I believe he's planning to do sort of a winch system so we can winch it up into the cap for when he wants to take the cap off and kind of keep the system all together.
That is so awesome.
It's going to be a neat little piece of equipment. So we've got the breakers there, fuses, every line's protected. You really just want to make sure in a accidental scenario, something you can't predict. I trip and fall and yank on a wire. What if that contacts something?
Yeah.
You want to be prepared and make sure that even in the worst case scenario, nothing explodes.
You don't have to give exact numbers, but what does something like this cost for you to do for clients?
So this system, something like this is probably in the 5 to 10 grand range.
Yeah, okay.
Once you're factoring in the install especially.
Yep. Parts alone, I mean, these are roughly $1,000 a pop.
Those are 900. The inverter, I believe, is 11 or 1200 for that model.
I was gonna say it's not cheap.
Charge controllers, I think 250 or 300. Sterling's 300. I mean, this is probably about a $5 grand setup right here.
Yep. Plus your install, your labor is not cheap. Like, unfortunately, guys, we have to pay for labor.
Yep.
But again, it takes the headache out of me doing it and having somebody professional doing it. That's my biggest thing about it. I do not want to worry about my power system. I would rather pay somebody labor to do it. It is on a forklift.
Oh, yeah.
That is solar powered forklift.
It is solar powered, and interestingly, this is a sort of different way of doing things because the battery is a 48, or I believe it's a 48 volt battery.
Yeah.
But the panel is a 20 volt panel. We have to use it's a step up converter.
Okay.
So it's stepping the voltage up from 12 volts.
Do you mind getting in and just kind of doing a small demonstration? Because normally when you start a forklift up, you hear the motor start on and everything else. I'm gonna shut up and you're gonna listen to this.
That's it.
That's it. It's on. You can lower that. Don't drop your box, obviously. We are getting a special treatment right now. It is an extension to the video. I am with somebody that works directly with Miles, Jason from Off-Grid Solutions PDX. And he's very, very good. He's a DIYer's dream, pretty much. But why is he important right now into this video? His background is renewable energy. His background is building solar kits. And he's like, hey man, I have a kit that I just finished. So you're now going to see a fully wired, professional wired kit. And Jason's gonna talk a little bit about that right now. You wired up this gem.
Yeah, you know, we've been playing with the little over-the-wheel well systems for a while and trying to make them as compact as possible. And
that's pretty compact.
This is kind of our standard kit that we like to call our van life package. Same thing Miles would sell is kind of what we determine is kind of a good weekender package. Maybe add a battery or two if you want to live in it full-time type thing. But
do you cover this up?
This will all be covered up.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the people would build like a separate, kind of like an L-shaped box is kind of what I recommend, that would go either to the front and around it or to the bed or wherever you want to go with it, and then cover it back up this way.
By the way, if you guys hear some noise, it's because these guys are actually working outside, and I just bothered Jason. But anyways, you have this is a weekender, kind of like you said, so it's 200 amp hours, or I guess 210?
210, yeah. These are the Lion, the VT1300s are 105 amp hours, so
that's pretty cool.
Beastly little batteries. They're really compact and they do a really good job.
Beautiful inverter. This is one of the cleanest wiring jobs I've seen.
Have the solar input and the Sterling kind of off the backside where they can breathe.
Dude, that is super duper clean.
I try to keep all the fuses near the components so it's easy to diagnose what's going on and get to everything. So
speechless. It's very, 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 very well done. I've already talked to John about this a little bit from Light Harvest. Why is it so important to hire somebody to do all of this instead of me as a DIYer doing it myself?
Well, I mean, if you're paying the money and you don't really know what you're doing, you risk, you know, messing up the components or just having issues in the future and don't know how to troubleshoot that. It could cost you a lot of time and make you feel like you didn't spend your money well. So, you know, it's one little itty-bitty crimp or a small connection can cause so many heartaches along the way, especially driving down the road. And that's the biggest thing that we determine is it's a moving earthquake, pretty much what we send the vans down. So,
and John and I talked on a little bit. It's like, it's super important, like this size wire, it has to be important, and this size wire has to be important, you know, just in your entire setup. And obviously with your background, you know all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely all math at the end of the day, what it comes down to, and we don't want to be using any bigger wire than we have to because flat out it's expensive. The good OFC wire is very expensive, up to $4 or $5 a foot for some of the bigger stuff. So, you know, you want to use the correct size wire, but you don't want to waste a bunch of money on stuff you don't need either.
Jeez, dude. You did such a great job. We're going to have Jason on, I think, as a follow-up to the Electrical Wizard. But if you are interested in either having John build a system, Jason building a system, or any of the other people I have on my channel, Jason can be reached at offgridsolutionspdx.com. Right
on. You're in the van building central community of Portland.
We are. So this is like...
You should be able to find somebody to be able to help you out around here. So.
Yes. If Jason's booked, we have other people, but I guarantee you... How long does it take you to build something like this, Jay?
Usually it takes about a week to build one and put it together and put it in the van. And, well, we're also doing a heater for them, too. So somewhere around, you know,
What are you doing, days. Like an air top?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's your DIYer's dream. You can install heaters, you can install systems, you can go in and put in wall panels if you need to.
Yeah, pretty much anything we can do. We try to do it more a la carte, not here's an empty van, build the whole thing and give it back to us.
Right.
Type thing, but
a la carte, I like that. Somebody needs a roof vent put in.
Yep, and that's what I do too, is I itemize everything out and they can pick what they want me to do and what they think they can do themselves based upon budget and time and all those sort of things. So
you are a DIYer's dream. John, thank you very, very much for kind of giving us a show around Light Harvest Solar. Thanks to Miles for allowing me to do this as well. Again, check them out at lightharvestsolar.com.
That's it.
And if you are in the Portland area and you want to set up an appointment with John, I'm sure he'd be more than happy, right?
Yeah, come on by.
And if you have other questions, you can either email them or give them a call. Again, they do, like, all of these containers are off-grid. And you power them, and obviously your entire setup here is off-grid.
We like to live what we sell.
There you go. Look at that. You guys, yeah, I love that. So I'm going to let you get back to work, buddy. I'm sorry for taking you away for as long as we have.
Not a problem. Nice to see y'all.
All right, guys. Later.
Thank you.